everybody, this is Tracy here for another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap 911 on Fox, Season 1, Episode 6, which was titled Heartbreaker.
911, what is your emergency?
So, before we get started in this recap, I want to know, why was Athena's marriage such an important part of the show when the show first started? And we have not seen her husband, Michael, or the daughter since the daughter attempted suicide and the people told them to get out that they had to leave because they wanted to do like this 24-hour hold. So did they get the daughter back? Like, is Michael still there? Like, what in the world is going on? But that was just on my mind. I think it was on my mind last week, but then it was even more prevalent this week. So I thought I would put that out there. So the show opens with a couple out on a plane ride. So the guy had just gotten his pilot's license like a month earlier, and he's piloting this Cessna. And so he is flying around with his girlfriend, and they fly over this observatory where they had gone on their first date. And so then all of a sudden it's like the plane hits turbulence and they are about to crash. And so he tells her to reach under the seat and get the operating manual and turn to some page that was going to tell them how to do an emergency landing. So he's telling her, read the instructions to me. And so she's reading. And then as she's reading, it sounds like his marriage vows. So then it turns out that he was trying to do a proposal. But his girlfriend had a thyroid condition. And I guess all the excitement, the elevation of the plane, the fear that they were about to crash, it caused her to have like a reaction. And it sent her into shock and gave her symptoms like she was having a heart attack. So the guy calls 911 and Abby answers the phone, and so he tells her, that he was trying to do this proposal and it went wrong, and now his girlfriend was about to have a heart attack. And so Abby, trying to be all judgmental, like she didn't think that was something romantic to do. And I thought it was a cute little gesture. I probably would have been pissed for a second, but then I guess there was a lot of things that could have gone wrong, because what if she had like grabbed his arm or something and he lost control of the plane or whatever. But anyway, Abby tells him that he needs to make an emergency landing, and he said that he contacted Santa Barbara Airport and that it would take him 15 minutes to get there, and he needed to land the plane quicker. So he ends up doing the emergency landing on a golf course while people were playing golf, and luckily nobody got hurt. And so the first responders, they get there like as soon as the plane touched down, they were there. And so they get the girl out and they're getting ready to treat her for a heart attack, and they were going to give her some nitroglycerin or something. But then Abby calls Buck on his cell phone, tell Buck that, when you told me that the lady had a thyroid condition, I decided to call her doctor. Now, I don't know how she got the damn woman doctor's phone number or whatever, but the doctor said that she had a condition called broken heart syndrome, and that it only appears to be a heart attack, but it's really not a heart attack. So thank God Abby got that information to them right when they were about to give her that nitroglycerin, because things could have turned out a whole lot different. But then they had some other drug to give her, and they gave her the drug. She comes to, and she's like, were you proposing to me? Yes, I love you. And Abby's like, what's going on? What's going on? And Buck says, I think she's about to accept the proposal. So the lady says, yes, I'll marry you. And then she slapped the crap out of the guy. Then we had a scene at Abby's house. And so Patricia's doing quite well. She's up and about, and she's cooking Valentine cookies for Abby to take to a party that she's been invited to by Buck over at the firehouse. And I thought it was Valentine's Day party, but it seemed to be a welcome back party for Chimney, who has recovered. So now I'm thinking, okay, how much time done pass since Chimney had the accident to him being able to come back to work, which had me questioning once again what is going on with Athena and her family. Like, has a lot of time passed in their situation as well? But anyway, Carla was there, and so her and Abby get to talking about dating and the whole situation with Buck. And so as Abby is fantasizing about a perfect Valentine's Day, Buck on the other end is telling Bobby, how he hates Valentine's Day. So I don't know how this is gonna work out. Oh, and then so, okay, here we go again. Has Bobby told the story about his family dying in the fire to Henrietta and Buck? Because during the exchange with Buck and Bobby, Buck mentions how, it has to be really hard for Bobby on Valentine's Day, and he's probably really missing his wife. And then Bobby seems more relaxed and open to talking about the situation and explains that, he misses his wife every day. So I was like, okay, so has the burden been lifted, because he's no longer carrying the secret? Like, why we didn't get to see the conversation that he had with his team where he was explaining this, and so we could see what their reaction was? I don't know. So back at the fire station, Chimney, like I said, he's back, and the party that Buck invited Abby to is really a welcome back party for him. And so, y'all, why was the cake? They had this cake, and on top of the cake was a head, and I guess it was supposed to be Chimney, and it had like the rebar pole going through the forehead, and then I think it had a candle on the top or something. But Chimney, he seems to be in good spirits and cracking jokes and making light of the whole situation. So Bobby was off in the locker room when he notices somebody walking up. So he goes out to greet the person, and it turns out to be Abby with her cookies. And Bobby seems to be quite enamored with Abby. So let me find out he about to move in on Buck's territory. So then he realizes that Abby is the 911 operator, and so he tells her, "Well, come on, I'll show you where everybody is." And so they go in, and then Buck is like introducing Abby to everybody, and nobody seems to be creeped out by the thought of the two of them dating. Like, I don't want to see it. I really don't want to see it. And everybody on Twitter be talking about, oh, how beautiful Abby is, and I was just like, Abby looked like she should be somebody's mama. Like, why are y'all encouraging this nonsense? And so then Chimney is in his feelings because he's like, the woman that he loved didn't love him in return, and now he don't have anybody. And that Buck, who go around screwing everybody, was able to land a woman like Abby. So he just not understanding how this whole thing is working out. So then Henrietta and Athena, they kind of like double team Buck and ask, well, what are you going to do for Abby for Valentine's Day? Are you taking her somewhere nice? And Buck was like, well, I got to work tomorrow. And then Henrietta put him on blast and said, well, we both get off at 2 o'clock tomorrow. And when I leave, I'm going to take my woman out. So you need to plan something nice for her. So I was like, okay, y'all put Buck on the spot. So then Buck walked off, I think, and then Athena was telling Abby, that she put in for a second shift to get her mind off of romance because she ain't, things ain't going too well in her personal life. But, she said, you deserve to be treated nice on Valentine's Day, so make sure, he gives you a good time. So then the party is interrupted when a call comes in, I think. Yeah, I think a call came in, but it wasn't the next call that they got, because the next call that they got, it was a guy reporting that there was a disturbance at his neighbor's apartment, and he didn't want to get involved, but they need to come quick because there was some craziness going on. So then Athena shows up, and there was this couple that was having a Valentine's Day dinner, and the guy, says that he has to leave. And so the lady gets upset, he was telling her that she couldn't cook, and how his friends told him that, she was crazy, that she had crazy eyes and not to get involved with her. And now, he's starting to believe that he should have took their advice. And so, of course, she's getting all upset and saying how much she loved him and what all she had planned for them. But he said he had other plans. He had other women to go see. And that was like the wrong move. So when Athena arrives, the woman opens the door, and her name is actually Allura. And so she's upset and admits that her and her boyfriend got into an argument, and that's probably what the neighbor heard. And so as Athena is checking out the house, the two have a conversation about relationships. And so Athena tells her that, if her man would dump her on Valentine's Day, then he wasn't worth it. She needs to know her self-worth, and just basically trying to encourage her and make her feel better. And then all of a sudden, I think they were sitting down, or either Laura was sitting down, and so her sleeve came up, and Abby could see like there was, not Abby, and Athena could see that there was like a trail of blood on her arm. And so she pulls her sleeve down and says that, oh, that was from another incident, but I'm okay, I'm doing better. So then Athena gives her business card and says that if she needs someone to talk to, to give her a call, and she'll come back and, talk to her and help console her, because she knows how hard it is to get dumped on Valentine's Day. So after Athena leaves, this crazy woman pulls out a meat cleaver and goes into the room where she has the man tied up. And I'm just sitting there saying, okay, when he was trying to leave, did she hit him across the head with something and knock him out? Because he was a pretty big guy, and I just couldn't see how she got him down, tied him up, taped his mouth up, drug him into this closet or wherever she had him at. But honey, he was in there, and she came in there with that meat cleaver and went to whacking and a hacking. So it's like, well, this is like something from American Horror Story. Like, y'all played us for real 911. But then she told him, before she started cutting him up with the cleaver, she told him that Athena had given her a great idea. So she gonna blame the craziness on Athena. So over at the station, Bobby is helping Buck tie his tie, giving him dating advice. And so Buck tells Bobby, that he's thinking that, it's going to end up with him having sex with Abby. And so over at Abby's house, she's feeling real pretty, and she has on this strapless black dress. And then Patricia tells her that she doesn't look like a whore after all. I guess she thought she was going to look like a tramp with her dress on. And then Carla, she's just happy for Abby that she's about to get her groove on. So then the next call that comes in is about a pileup on the freeway. So Athena arrives and learns that a organ transplant team is delayed in getting an organ to a donor who is already prepped and waiting, to get this surgery done. So the poor guy ends up getting in the car with Athena, because Athena says she's going to get him and that organ over there to the hospital. But she was driving so crazy. She backed all the way up down the interstate about a mile. Then she called in for some reinforcements, and then I think she was driving the wrong way on the highway. Then she gets off the highway, and she was running red lights. She had been doing like 90 miles per hour, turning in front of people, weaving in and out of traffic. So Lord have mercy. While they was on their way there, she asked the guy, well, who is the organ for? So the guy said that it was a 16-year-old girl. So then that really made her determined to get him to the hospital in time, because I guess they only had like so many minutes between getting the girl prepped for surgery and when they actually had to have the organ there to put it in her. The child, they finally make it to the hospital, and Athena jumped out, and so it was a doctor standing at the entrance, waiting on them to come. And then she says, we're so happy to get the heart here on time or whatever. So the lady said, well, that ain't no heart, that was a kidney. So Athena was being, she's such a romantic. She thought she was delivering a heart for Valentine's Day. And I'm thinking, like, why did she think it was a heart? Like, maybe because the girl was only 16 years old and she thought that was the only organ that she would need. But anyway, that was a funny little scene. So then Athena gets a call that she is wanted back at Allura's. So this crazy chick, the elder brother, she had the candy and the wine for the man, or if she actually went to the store and bought the candy and wine. But she said that she wanted to thank Athena, for being so empathetic to what she was going on, what she was going through, and says that since they're both members of the Lonely Hearts Club, she thought they'd eat some candy and drink some wine. But she had already picked through the box of candy and gotten all the caramel pieces out. I'm like, Athena, why did you go in that house? Like, you knew that woman was crazy. So then she spins around with the glass of wine and throw the wine on Athena. So Athena goes into the bathroom, to wipe it off. And then the lady yells out and says, oh, but there's some peroxide in the medicine cabinet. So Athena goes in the medicine cabinet. And it looked like a damn pharmacy up in there. That woman had so many antipsychotic drugs or whatever they call. She had everything. So Athena was like, oh Lord, this woman is crazy for real. So then she yells out, oh, and if the peroxide doesn't work, there's some ammonia under the, did she say it was in the shower or it was under the cabinet? I think she said it was under the sink. So then Athena was like, and then she said, oh, and it's really good for cleaning up blood. So Athena was like, what the hell? So then she turns around and goes over to the shower and pulls back the curtain. And then you can see the residuals of the blood going down the drain. So then Athena pull out a gun and she goes out and she's like, Laura, looking for the lady. And she opened up this door and she done chopped the man up and then went and bought some super glue and tried to glue the man back together. I was like, who wrote this? Like, who thought of this doggone craziness to put on this show? But I'm sure that somewhere in this world, somebody has actually done this. So then we go back over to Buck and Abby, and they're at this really nice restaurant. And so it turns out that the reason he was able to get these reservations is because I guess as first responders, when you save people's lives, then they're forever indebted to you and you can call in favors. So Abby learns that the owner, was actually someone that they had assisted in the past. And then Buck is so nervous. And then we get the inner thoughts of how they're checking each other out and how Buck is just saying that Abby's really hot and she has beautiful hair. And that was like the second or third time that they had mentioned Abby's hair on the show, because Carla had even said, oh, you're a gorgeous woman and you got that beautiful hair. So I don't know what the deal is about Abby and this doggone hair. So then Abby was saying that, Buck looks so good, but I think she was saying that he's too young for her or something. Then there was some bread on the table, so then Buck asked her if she wants some bread. And she said, oh, no, you go ahead. And then why did he choke on the bread? So they couldn't get the bread to come back up. They didn't try the Hamlet maneuver and everything. Buck done passed out. He ain't been breathing for 2 minutes. And Abby said he only got 3 more minutes before he suffered brain damage. So she calls and asks for this one particular 911 operator and tells the woman that she needs to perform a tracheotomy on Buck. So the woman walk her through the process. Like, oh my God, like this episode was so crazy. So there we have a scene where they're at the hospital and Abby's sitting in the room with Buck, and then Bobby shows up and the two of them get to talking. So then they decide to step out and go get some coffee, and it is really evident that Bobby is feeling himself some Abby. And I hope Bobby take Abby away from Buck, because I just really, really, really don't want to see that happen. So we'll see. That might be some drama down the line where Bobby takes Abby from Buck, and then they have conflict going on. So then the next call comes in, and it's from a guy who says that he fell and thinks that he broke his back. So it's Bobby. Bobby and Chimney arrive at the house, and so a woman answers the door, and they say, we're here responding to the call from the guy who said that he fell. So the lady was like, ain't nobody here but me. So they was like, are you sure? No, she said, nobody made a phone call from here. And so they said, well, are you sure? And then she said, yeah, I am. And then a guy walks up, and the guy said, yeah, you must be at the wrong house, because I'm the only man at this house. And so the lady kind of like making eyes at them like, help, something like going around the bank. So then Bobby said, oh, well, do you mind if we check the perimeter just to be sure, because this is the address that the person gave. So they were like, sure. So they go on back in the house, close the door. Bobby and Chimney go to the backyard. They find this half-naked man in the yard, and he done sprained or broke or fractured both his legs jumping from the second floor. So they assume that he was having an affair, and they tell him that what he has is a Casanova fracture. And so the guy was like, what is that? So they say, it's basically when you're having an affair and the husband comes home and then you jump, to get away, but then you end up fracturing your legs. So by now, the guy came out onto the balcony and he's looking down and he knew the guy. He was like, what are you doing? And then the wife comes out and then she's like, oh my God, honey, are you okay? So it turns out that the guy on the ground was actually the husband, but him and the wife broke up because the wife was having an affair with the guy who's in the house, and she done got him to move in, but then after he moved in, she realized that she was still in love with the husband, so they were having an affair. So he done jumped out his own house trying to get away from the other man. I'm like, y'all are crazy. Then back to Athena and Allura. There is no reasoning with this woman, and she got Athena all tied up and telling Athena that, how great Ted, the guy, was, and that, once she finished gluing him back together, everything's going to be okay. And she's saying about how much she loved him, and he's really a good guy. He just has a bad heart. But on the flip side, Athena has a good heart. She's kind, she's compassionate, so she done decided that she gonna kill Athena and cut her heart out and transplant it or super glue it into Ted to make Ted a better person. Oh, Lord have mercy. I'm just telling y'all what was happening on the show. Then all of a sudden, Athena hears a woman screaming, and she's like, oh my God, who is that? So Laura done went through Ted's phone and found out who it was that he was supposed to be meeting. So she done sent the woman a text and told the woman to come over there. So the lady name is Ashley, and she's tied up in the basement. And I think Laura said that she hit her over the head with a pan, and it must have been the same pan that she had to beat Ted over the head with to knock him out. So Athena's still trying to reason with her to get away. But, Laura is determined that she gonna kill Athena and take Athena's heart and put it into Ted. So then she goes and she pulls out a knife, but Athena was getting she had wrapped her hands with that silver tape. What's that tape called? That electric, no, it's not electric tape. But it's like that construction tape, that heavy duty tape. So Athena's still trying to reason with Laura, and she decides to give her the story of what Valentine's Day is really about and how it started. But Laura doesn't want to hear it. She's like, that's a lie. It's about, Saint Valentine. It's not about what, it's not some demonic cult action that's taking place. And Athena's like, no, this is what it's really about. And then somebody knocks at the door. And so then Laura's like, oh my God, so she goes to open the door, and Athena is able to break free. And so she ends up hitting Laura over the head with a wine bottle. And so Ted must have a thing for crazy women, because the woman at the door, her name was Cassandra. And so she comes in looking for him, and she's talking about how she tracked him down because he had been at her house, and he used her computer to go on the cloud to access something from his phone. And somehow she was able to keep the information and put a locator on his phone so she could track wherever he was and catch him cheating and all this stuff. And I guess it never dawned on her that Athena was a police officer. Like, what are you doing here? And so then she's like going from door to door trying to figure out what's going on. Athena's handcuffing Laura. And it was just so crazy. So crazy. So Athena saves the day, and when she gets home, there's a card, some cookies, some Valentine cookies, and a glass of wine on the table. But we still didn't see any of her family members, and I guess they had done all went to bed. But then when she read the card, she gets emotional. And I think it said Happy Valentine's Day, and when she opened it up, it had like 3 hearts, and it had like each one of the kids' name, and then it said and Daddy, and something else was written in it. But anyway, child, she was emotional after reading the card, and she's still delusional about saving her marriage and that this man loved her and all this stuff. And so that's it for me, guys. What did you think about this crazy, crazy, mixed up episode? Leave your comments below, rate the video, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye bye.